Konnichiwa! In this video, I'll give you my 5 steps for how to study Japanese vocabulary so it sticks. I'm Mineko Arai. I've spent the last 20 years teaching at top universities in the UK, as well as consulting for the British Foreign and Commonwealth Office, the British Museum, and companies like Sony and Deloitte. If you want more content to help you become a confident Japanese speaker, consider liking, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell so you never miss a video. Do you feel overwhelmed when you study Japanese vocabulary? Does it sometimes feel like there's just too much to learn, or that when you finally learn one set of words, you forget another? Don't worry, you're not alone. Most Japanese materials give you a list of pre-selected expressions and vocabulary. Of course, some are useful, but often the words just aren't relevant to your life. No wonder they don't stick. The good news is that you don't have to remember these long lists of irrelevant words to make progress. So how do you actually study Japanese vocabulary so it sticks? Here are my 5 tips for making sure Japanese vocabulary sticks in your long-term memory. 1. Learn and practice relevant vocabulary and phrases. Most textbooks give you lists of vocabulary, so these are irrelevant to your actual life. I don't want you to waste time and effort learning expressions that aren't really suitable for the kinds of conversation you are going to have. The good news is that you can take charge of your Japanese language journey. The first step is to choose which words and expressions to prioritize. Here's a good guide. A. Select words and phrases that you need to use regularly in your life. B. Select extra words and phrases that you want to use. C. Practice by making short example sentences relevant to your life. For example, マリアさんはインフルエンサーです。My friend Maria is an influencer. 2. Learn vocabulary in chunks. Have you ever felt like some Japanese words sound so similar that they are hard to tell apart? Or like you can remember certain phrases but cannot use them properly in a sentence or a conversation? Here's the solution. When you are dealing with similar words and expressions, there are 2 reasons why our brains have a hard time telling them apart. The first is due to similar sounds, and the second is due to similar meanings. Mastering the 5 Japanese vowel sounds is the key to telling similar sounding words apart. For example, many people struggle to differentiate between kawaii, cute, versus kowai, scary. Once you master the Japanese vowel sounds, you'll easily be able to tell the difference between words like this. As for words with similar meanings like tsukurimasu, to make, and tsukaimasu, to use, the trick is to create your own sentences that resonate with you. For example, よく寿司を作ります。I often make sushi. いつも箸を使います。I always use chopsticks. You should also make your own sentences with words that sound similar. For example, Hello Kitty は可愛いです。Hello Kitty is cute. リングは怖いです。The Ring, a Japanese horror movie, is scary. Once you've made a few sentences with the groups of words you're struggling with, practice them until they make sense to you. That way, you won't make mistakes when you use them in the future. 3. Revise using scientific methods. Do you feel like Japanese words don't sound like any words in your language? Or like you can't guess the meaning of the words like you might be able to in French or Spanish? Don't worry, I was in the same situation when I was learning English. In this section, I'll share how I got over these problems and how my solution has helped hundreds of my students to learn vocabulary so it sticks. Revising new vocabulary and expressions within the first 24 hours is a big help. If you can keep that revision going for 3 consecutive days, it will be much more likely to enter your long-term memory, even if you only spend a few minutes a day on each word, phrase, or chunk. If you can revise them again after a week, and then again after a month, it's almost certain that you'll remember new vocabulary. Revising takes much less time than learning or relearning, so with the time you save, you can keep learning new vocabulary every day. That way, you can keep up a steady stream of learning and revision, and you can make quick and steady progress. I covered the science behind this method in my last video on how to study Japanese in your busy life. 4. Track your progress to keep motivation high. Do you use a calendar either on your wall, your desk, or your phone? It can be a great tool for helping you to track your progress and keep yourself motivated. There are 2 ways to use a calendar. A. Write your planned vocabulary for each day. Cross out when you learn it. Or B. Fill in the vocabulary that you learned each day. If you prefer to plan your learning schedule a week or a month in advance, A would be the better choice for you. If you much prefer to learn new phrases every time you hear or read a new word, then B is better for your learning style. Whichever calendar method you use, it's good to write down at least 1 new expression a day so you can track your progress. A word of warning though, it's easy to overdo it and get burnt out if you try to do too much at once. Just remember, even writing down 1 word or phrase a day can still motivate you and help you track your progress. 5. Get professional support. When you're learning on your own, it can sometimes be hard to decide what vocabulary to learn or how to get going again when you feel stuck, especially if you have big goals. It's best to find a professional teacher to support your language learning so that you can get the best solution for your problems. This is especially true when it comes to learning new expressions. It's better to get help solving your language problems earlier rather than spending months or years feeling discouraged, stressed, and making minimal progress. Another solution is to find a learning community where you can find support from professional native Japanese teachers as well as other learners. People in these kinds of communities are usually happy to answer questions and share the learning methods that work best for them. I combine both of these in my online course, Master Speaking Japanese. The learner package includes a monthly live community event with direct access to me, as well as other dedicated Japanese learners. There's even an optional mini private lesson for you to check your Japanese with a native teacher. The monthly subscription is a fraction of the cost of a single private lesson, and you can progress at your own pace. If you're interested, check www.araiacademy.com. There's a link in the description box below. I hope you've enjoyed these 5 steps on how to study Japanese vocabulary so it sticks. These steps have helped many of my students, from university students to business leaders at some of the world's biggest companies. If you struggle to learn Japanese vocabulary but you really want to make progress as quick as possible, consider joining me in the Master Speaking Japanese online course. I'm happy to support your learning journey. A monthly subscription is less than the cost of a sandwich a week, and you'll become a confident Japanese speaker in as little as 4 weeks. There's also a live community for members of the Master Speaking Japanese Learner course where you can ask questions and get advice from me directly. You can also practice speaking Japanese both with me and with other dedicated learners from around the world. In Japan, the academic year starts in April, so I want to give you a special promo code for you to get started. Sign up before April 26 to catch the next live community event. The link is in the description box below. Thank you very much for learning Japanese. See you in the next video.